Well, howdy guys and gals, I'm Kyle Broderick. Welcome to the Social Regressive. I built this rifle. This is what I'm calling my Scout AR so that I can test a lot of different things. First off, I wanted to build a decent AR. This has come out well more than decent. It is very accurate, especially with heavy bullets. It is very light, easy to move around, quick to point, and this is a rifle that I've actually been able to test in a real-world hunting scenario. I took this out hog hunting with some friends, and we were able to nab us some hogs using this and some other rifles. It worked out really well. And now that I've tweaked a couple of things on here, it's actually working out even better. If you want to check out the full specs on this rifle and what I put together, make sure that you go check out some of the previous videos in this series. I show actually step-by-step how I put this rifle together, what the various parts are, why I chose them, and really in the end, there's really not anything that I would change about this. We'll talk about it in the end, but yeah, it has come out just great. But what this is for me is really a platform for testing different sights and scopes and different configurations to see what might actually work in the real world, because we do have some strange rifles out there right now. You have the Savage 110 Scout or the Savage 11 Scout that have that kind of forward mounted optics rail. So if you want to put a scope on it, in general you're going to be putting a handgun scope like this one out on the front. This is a Nikon Force XR 2.5 to 8 power. This is an excellent handgun scope, and this is, yeah, that kind of thing that you're going to want to put on that. There's also that Ruger Gunsight Scout rifle, so if you wanted to put a scope on it, you're probably either going with something like this or a red dot like this Bushnell TRS-25. Great little red dot. I have used this for a long time, and it's really excellent. But if you kind of have the choice of putting a scope wherever you want it, what actually works out in the real world? Does Jeff Cooper's idea for that forward-mounted optic, does it actually function out in the real world? Or do you want to stick with kind of the common thought on ARs, especially the LPVO, the low power variable optic like this? This is the Falcon S8i. This is a 1 to 8x variable, so that's a massive zoom range right there. And this has an incredible reticle inside it. I have tested this in various scenarios, and this is actually the one that I used out on that hunt. Love this scope. You can check out the previous review. I'll link to it around here somewhere. But we're also going to be testing out iron sights. Jeff Cooper wanted to make sure that the Scout rifle that he put together had good iron sights on it. These were actually the primary sights for the weapon, and then the scope was if you wanted to have one, apparently. But what we have on here, these are Ultradyne C4 sights, both at the rear and at the front, and these are very unique. These have, instead of a post up at the front, these actually have apertures so you can just look straight through and you can actually see your target instead of it being, covered by a post. It's just very natural. You line the two circles up, you take the shot, both eyes open. It's a really fast and actually pretty darn precise solution. And they're so confident in the precision of these that these are actually adjustable from a 200-yard position out to 600 yards. And I should mention that about all of the scopes that we're going to be testing out today in the wind, and sorry, it's going to be kind of noisy in the microphone, but we're going to, all of these are actually sighted for 200 yards. It's either going to be 25 or 200. And our targets, I'll describe these right here. We have two cardboard targets at closer range. There's about a 10-yard target and a 15-yard target. I'm going to put 2 quick shots into each of these. Then we have our clay pigeon at 25 yards. And then we jump back to 50 yards where we have 3 steel plates. I'm just going to put 1 round on each of those. And then I have a little black steel popper down on the ground. And that's going to be a little bit trickier shot. It's a little bit larger in my field of view than the clay pigeon, but not much. That one is one that I might have to slow down just a little bit for. So I have some quick targets and I have a little bit of slow down targets, and we're going to take a look at all of these different configurations and see how they all work. So first off, we do have the iron sights. I'm going to lead off with those. We're going to get into the red dot, and we're going to try this in 2 different positions. We're going to put it at the rearward position like you're used to seeing, right back here. And then we're also going to mount it up front, because I've seen some people, especially with AKs, putting a red dot a little bit further out there. And I'm kind of curious to see if it works well. Is it better to have a large field of view through your sight, or is it better to have a large field of view around your sight and have kind of a smaller field of view through it? Well, we'll find out. And finally, we will be testing the Scout Scope and this LPVO to see which one might be quickest on target, which one is going to maybe be a bit more accurate, a bit easier to keep on target. There might be a difference between when we jump between targets, which one is easier to move. So let's go find out. Make sure you check out the description box. I listed the scopes and sights down there. There we go. Couldn't tell if I was hitting that. I'll have to go check the replay and see which ones I knocked around. It's just easy to work with. I like these sights too. Really cool. I'm just gonna take a couple extra shots. I'm gonna shoot that clay pigeon again. Oh, that's awesome. Sweet. All right, next time, do the red dot. Woo! Okay, red dot is fast. Next up, this one's gonna look kind of weird. I have the red dot mounted way out front. I've seen people do this with AKs before, and I really wondered, you're putting extra weight out on the front of the gun. People say, just like with the Scout scopes, you can see more stuff around it, so you're not so concerned. You get a little bit of a smaller view through the actual scope. We'll see how it goes. This is my first time trying this. This. There we go. Okay. Wasn't too bad. I think in a way it's kind of an annoyance because the whole scope is actually kind of in the same plane of focus. So I can kind of see the scope hovering out there instead of everything kind of disappearing and me just seeing the target and crosshairs or whatever. It's a little distracting, but it worked. I think overall, I'd stick with back here. I'm just gonna do one more quick run just to give it another try, see what happens. Oh, actually, that worked out really well. I was kind of digging it that second time around. And that was the last round, by the way, so lucky me. That's actually not too bad. And here's the one that we're all interested in. Scout Scope, Scout configuration. You can see it's mounted really far up on the handguard. I can't do thumb over bore, just because, well, it's there. So I'll just kind of ride my thumb along the side and we'll see how this goes. 2.5x. Okay, it works. It's a little bit weird. It's, you definitely have to shoot 2 eyes open. I'm gonna do another run with both eyes open this time. At first I started out with one eye closed so that I could just get a better picture through here, but it doesn't like that. It definitely wants both. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to track with whatever you're trying to hit out here. Like getting down to that popper was a little bit tricky. So we'll give it another try. Woo-wee, got some heat coming off the barrel. It works, and now what I'm really curious to find out is how it works compared to a 2.5 power dialed in on a regular rear mounted low power variable optic. And here's the standard. This is the one most of you guys are probably gonna have on your ARs. Some kind of low power variable. This is a 1:8. This is the Falcon S8i. Love this little scope. I've been testing this in various situations, including that hog hunt, and we're gonna see how this compares. I've got it dialed to 2.5 power. Let's check it out. I should put a magazine in. Okay. Hold on a sec. Let's try that again. Overall, just kind of feeling at that time, I think my transitions were actually pretty slow compared to everything else that I've tried. This was the slowest, except on the far ones. It seemed really easy to bounce from target to target back there. Up close, it wasn't quite so easy. I'm gonna give it one last try. Oh, empty mag. I still want to try that one more time because that was feeling good. I was a little further out on the forearm, got the thumb a little over the top. It felt a lot better. Let's try it again. It feels darn good. This time the transitions were a bit better between the various shots. Yeah, I was holding pretty far out front, thumb over the bore. Felt pretty solid. I'm gonna give the Scout Scope one more run. Before we get down to our final discussion, conclusions, what I thought about shooting this today, while the memory is still fresh, I just wanted to thank various folks that made this possible. Thanks to all the manufacturers that contributed goodies to make this rifle. Thank you to patrons of the Destructive Arts that keep this project going. Thanks a lot to Sportsman's Guide at the 338 Lapua Magnum level and Peter at the 300 Win Mag level. And thanks to just all you guys that are chipping in $1 or $2 a month. If anybody else wants to jump in, I'll put a link to Patreon here. But let's talk about some of the things that I thought, just some of the configurations and how they worked. First off, I really thought that there would be a clearer delineation between all of these. I would come away with a clearer view of do this, not this. And it really didn't come out that way. I'd say overall that the clearest one that came to mind is that the iron sights, even though these are excellent, the Ultradyne C4 sights, they really are fantastic. These are probably the best iron sights that I've ever tried. You get those two nice apertures and, two eyes open shooting. You're just kind of bouncing around between targets and you don't really have to think about a post or anything like that anymore. It's just much more intuitive to shoot. But these were overall slower. I'll go back and check the footage to see which one was quickest at what. Sometimes it's mental energy, sometimes it's just me. But I think overall, the iron sights would be the slowest. If it came to a backup situation, I would definitely rely on these though. These are just wonderful. As far as the red dots go, I definitely would prefer putting a red dot further back than further forward. I want one in that, just forward of the rear iron sight. To me, it just works. You get that wider field of view inside the sight. Up here, you would get more of a wide field of view around it, but I did find that distracting out there. You can just kind of see the whole machinery. It doesn't disappear quite like it does here at the back. That's just me. When it came to these though, these two scopes, I was really expecting there to be a bigger difference, that I would love one, hate the other or something, or really find that they function very differently, and really they didn't. This one just worked just fine for this little challenge. I was able to bounce around between the targets pretty well. I'd say that sometimes, maybe just at first, it was a bit of a distraction where, it's a smaller field of view, kind of like you're looking through a larger pinhole or a knothole or something. Whereas back here, you can see more targets, you can see more field of view through the scope. And on this one, you can see more stuff around it. I think they both work. If you have one of the scout rifles, like the Ruger Gunsight Scout, or the Savage 110 Scout or 11 Scout or something, I can see how they work. And I've done some of that shooting myself. I did quite like it. And I was expecting to see, maybe one of these come out better. But no, it did work. I think it's going to come down to your use. Maybe folks that are a little bit more far-sighted than nearsighted are going to prefer a forward-mounted scope like this. It's an option. I think overall, though, I would stick with the low-power variable optic mounted on the back. For me, I like the wide field of view inside the scope, and I like the extreme variability here. The 1 to 8x on this Falcon S8i is really just amazing. I can go from extreme close quarters kinds of shooting, and I can, really narrow in to that 8x for longer shooting. I've actually shot both of these scopes at 400 yards out here just a few days ago. I fired this one at 400, and yeah, it works just fine. I'm able to use that BDC reticle in here, put it on the second dot, crank this up to 8x, and then yeah, it does sail them right in there. This one, you do get that wider field of view, so it's a little bit easier to see your misses or your impacts. So yeah, I would say that overall, I prefer this, but this actually works out quite well. And if you do have one of those scout rifles, yeah, definitely look at the Force XR. Maybe one of the fixed power models. There is that issue where as you go through the variable zoom, that you're also going to change your eye relief, which is a little bit of a problem there. It's not quite so useful to be able to, crank up to 8x if you have to physically move the scope as well. You could definitely do that if you know your targets are at different distances. But then if you are dealing with a range of targets, you don't know what distance your targets are going to be at, I think that this would work out a little bit better. Thanks a lot, you guys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys around.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Even if you didn't like this particular content, go ahead and subscribe. There's probably something coming that's more up your alley. Check out this playlist right here. This is going to have videos in a similar vein to what you just watched. These two videos we cherry-picked for you. And finally, The Social Regressive is on Patreon. So you can become a patron of the Destructive Arts and earn some goodies while helping us to provide high-quality videos just by kicking us a few bucks a month. Thanks a bunch for your patronage.